Hello, hello. How's it going, Snoo?
Hi.
How's your day
Good
going so
thank.
far?
Good, thank you. Good. Yes.
Just coming out of a nap, so this could be a
Yeah.
very lethargic kind of recording. So, first of all, I want to say I did a dive on your social medias and I
Oh
checked
yes.
out a ton of your art. And one thing
Uh,
that I noticed that I really, really appreciated right off of the bat was you do kind of like opacity on your line work, and it makes it look so soft. And your art
yes.
style just paired
Thank
with that, it's so good.
you.
I love
Thank
your
you.
character design. That's so wonderful.
Thank you. I haven't uploaded to my social media in a while, but I hope whatever's there is all right.
Oh, it was very, very good. Very much like I don't know, like I would imagine web comics
Mm.
character designs. Looks like something that would
Yeah.
be consumed. So you've
Oh, I
got
love I
a
love
wonderful
webcomic design.
style.
Thank you.
So where does the inspiration come for that? Like it very much looks like you do have some inspiration from
Uh
specifically like a web comic.
um not specifically webcomics, but I do get a lot of influence from I read a lot of webcomics, but my main influence is the Studio Ghibli films. And
Okay,
then
I can see that.
mixes. My biggest influence when I was younger was Wakfu, the show and the game.
I'm familiar with the title, but I've never actually checked it out.
Well, that's probably where a lot of my inspiration came from when I was developing my style originally. They do have it's a very comic-y style, I think, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it. Every piece just looked like a lot of fun for sure. That's a good
Thank
way to say
you.
it. Now, how long have you been working in art?
um, I I'm not really working in I'm more of a hobbyist, but I do commissions. But I started drawing digitally when I was 9, and then that's when I became serious about it when I started practicing more often.
So it was something from the beginning that you knew you wanted to be good at?
Yeah, it's just something I always enjoyed doing. I love creating.
That's wonderful. That's awesome that you found that so early on.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a lot.
So,
I feel like it's a lot. Sorry, it's a lot
no,
easier
no, no.
to start out when you're younger. I see a lot of people jumping in when they're a lot older, and I feel bad because like when you're a kid, you don't have that reluctancy to create. Like you don't look at your art and you think, oh, I don't like this. You're just thinking, oh, this is fun. Like, and you just keep creating. It's a lot easier. That learning curve's a lot easier when you're younger.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, because you can start thinking later on, all of a sudden, skill level plays a part of it. So if you're just drawing stick figures and you don't like anything you do, you're not likely to continue going. Whereas as a child, you're
Mm.
just like, haha, I love doing this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, where did you go? We talked about this a little bit in DMs about how you scouted out a lot of places before you decided to make your own server, which is thriving, and I'd love to talk about
Mm.
that alone in just a moment. But what made you at first want to start a community of your own?
Um, when I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of how public social media um works for artists. It's a very competitive field, and social media doesn't really give us a platform where we can thrive on. It's made for other people, not necessarily artists. So it's hard to communicate with other artists because it's not designed for artists. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. And then,
Mm.
and the ones that are designed for artists like DeviantArt, it's just a
Yeah.
little clunky and outdated
Yeah,
nowadays, so it's
definitely.
kind of
Yeah.
harder to use. Discord seems to be the place, though. I love Discord
Yeah.
so much. What a beautiful utility.
It is a fantastic platform. I love it.
There are a few other open ones, though. I mean, you could have chosen like a TeamSpeak, a Skype, a website. What made you decide to use Discord?
Um, I'm the most comfortable Discord. The server setup. It's a lot more customizable than what Skype has. Haven't been on Skype in years, but um, I just find it's a bigger platform and it's much more flexible.
And it seems like the younger, I feel old saying that. I'm only 25, but it seems like teenagers are really, really accepting this, regardless of whether or not they're gamers. You know, they seem to
Yeah,
have done away with the idea of strictly a gaming platform, and you see all sorts of different creative types on it.
yeah. I don't use it much for the gaming platform. I use it for the art side of it. It's been great. Like I prefer it a lot. That's why I haven't uploaded to my social media in so long. I just don't feel the need to because I've got all I need on Discord.
Well, you have a thriving community on Discord, so
Yes.
let's just talk about that for a second, because honestly, it is the best one that I've come
Ah,
across, and I'm
thank
in a
you.
lot of them to try and promote this. And you've done such a wonderful job of how you have it set up. And
Thank you.
we touched on this in the DMs again about how you have like the rule of somebody has to comment on the previous person's work before they're
Yeah,
allowed to post. It seems like a really tedious thing to do,
it
but
is.
just the amount of positivity that outpours because of
Mm.
it, regardless of how tedious it is wonderful.
It's a very difficult thing to moderate. People get upset a lot when you tell them off for it, but in the long run, it does create a better atmosphere for the server.
And once I think somebody understands that, they get totally past,
Yeah.
the issue of like having to take the time to do it, which seems
Mm.
super selfish in its own right. So the fact that you're just
Yeah.
pushing out there, like, get a little away from yourself. It's not all about you.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I want everyone to have fun on the server, but it's hard to when some people don't want to contribute to that positive atmosphere. It's a bit of a give and take. So yeah, they have to be able to give and take, not just take.
Absolutely. And it's not that you're just starting it up or anything like that. I mean, this is in motion and it's working. And
It's only a
so
fairly
you've
new
done
server,
such a
but
great job.
thank you.
I mean, honestly, I can't stress that enough. I'm in so many servers just to promote this thing,
Yeah.
and it's the best one. And I'm
Thank
so
you.
amazed that you managed to do that. Good job, good job. So,
Thank you. I
how do
really
you
appreciate
find
that.
being in charge of a server like that? Has that affected your artistic capabilities at all? Do you find that you have a little bit more responsibility on your plate and
Um,
less time to be able to practice your art?
I started the server. Um, Honestly, it's motivated me a lot more to create rather than made me feel like not creating more. It is a big handful, but since I've added moderators, I haven't had to moderate it as much as I used to. So I just have a fun time creating art and talking to the artists on there, and it's been a great experience, honestly.
Has it
Probably one of
helped
the
you
best.
at all in growing a commission base?
I actually stopped doing commissions for a long time before I started Art Cafe, and then I posted my own commissions there in the commissions channel. I didn't expect to get anything. I got about 4 people message me, and it was really surprising. But yeah, it definitely has um got me some clients, which is surprising. I didn't expect it.
Well, I would imagine that being the owner of such a wonderful server, you have a lot of people who admire you. So I think, that would definitely be something that would come of that.
Mhm.
How, now you say you've kind of fallen off of social media because of the success of the community. Do you feel like that's pulled you back at all? I mean, sure, you do have access to a lot of these artists, but it's not really, I mean,
Yeah,
there is a difference between an artist community and a consumer community, and the
that's true.
artist community might not be the consumer.
I do regret not being consistent with my social media posting, but yeah, that's something I should get back into doing. But I just haven't. I've just been so happy just posting it around friends and the people in the community. I haven't just keep forgetting. It's just
Well,
I
let's
don't know
hope
when
this
I
conversation sparks that
yeah.
up.
I feel if I don't know a lot of artists feel this, but when they post on social media, it can be a bit exhausting because you can post it and you have a certain expectation of how much feedback you'll get on the social media, but when you don't get it, it can be really disheartening. So if maybe you post something you spent maybe like 3 hours doing and you get maybe 2 likes, it's really discouraging because it's hard to get your art out there on these platforms because it's unless you're creating fan art, it's hard for people to find original content. Like these hashtag systems aren't made for original content.
That's true. I mean, it definitely is made for kind of a cookie cutter style of content
Mm.
production.
Yeah.
How do you think how do you think we can get away from that? What do you think the solution is to that?
That's a difficult question. I'm not sure. Like I maybe another DeviantArt, but designed in another way. But I wouldn't. I'm not sure what that would be. It's a very hard because it is a saturated market. It's hard to give everyone the attention they deserve. And that's what I found on Art Cafe. A lot of people come over here and they post their social media and they're very talented artists, but they only have less than 100 followers. And it's really surprising to me because I think they should have so much more.
Yeah, it does really seem like a lot of the I don't know, you see a lot of people who go from nothing to millions of followers and whatnot just randomly from the viral videos and stuff, but
Mm.
I don't see that happening as much as I'd like to in like the underground art communities for sure.
Yeah.
You see it all the time in the rap community, but it's not something that you see in like metal or uh,
Yeah.
EDM production or just drawing or painting. And
Mm.
yeah, it would be nice to see more of that.
Mm. Just because there's so
Um,
many artists, we see so much art. It's hard to really remember that there's an artist behind this work that you're consuming. I find a lot of people
that's a
forget.
good point. And especially when it's something that you're really engaged in, sometimes it's hard to remember the person who created it. They kind of get
Mm.
lost in their legacy.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I was not expecting to go in that direction. Well played.
Sorry.
So now, no, okay, that does tie in pretty neatly to what I've been talking with other artists about with the NSFW content. How do you feel about that in the general art community, and how do you feel about the stigma that gets attached to people who do create NSFW?
um.
Um, just
Yeah.
yeah,
I.
speak on that.
Yeah. I don't mind the content at all. Like people can create whatever they want to create. Like as long as they're happy creating what they're creating. But the thing about NSFW, it's so easily accessible to young people, and that's what scares me. Because I've been on a lot of Discord servers and I see just how easy those NSFW communities are in those like the sub communities are in those Discord servers are to access for younger people. They just come in and they can press "Are you over 18?" and they can just see it, and that's a scary thing to me. That's why I'm really strict on it in my own server because I don't want young people being exposed to that. But I want people to be able to create freely.
Yeah, there do have to be rules to it. Now, how about being stuck as far as like I have somebody I want to talk to about this later on. She does conventions, and she spoke on Twitter about how she loves creating NSFW pictures, but she feels like she has to maintain an image and a brand because of her
Hmm.
access to the uh, convention communities.
Yeah, I've not really been much of advertising myself for like conventions and things, but I can definitely see like it wouldn't because people it's a very, very big cancel culture recently. Like if you do something that someone doesn't like draw NSFW content that can be put out there and say, like people like don't follow this artist, they draw a specific topic and that they don't like, you know what I mean? Like I've seen it a lot. Um but I think most of the time people don't mind when artists keep their work separate. Um I don't know.
So I spoke about that with Literate Gamer a good bit about maybe or maintaining different handles. I spoke about it with
Hmm.
Chase actually as well. Um, and you see it in a lot of different artistic communities. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're talking about music or art or writing. People take
Hmm.
pen names or stage names or production titles,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and they produce a certain thing on that, and then they use their own name to do what they were known for. Uh,
Mm, that's
do you feel that to be necessary in some cases?
it's necessary, but it's also a really difficult thing to maintain. It's like maintaining two different platforms now. Like you're trying to maintain your main source of the main thing you put out, like the regular art. Then you also got a not say for work platform that you have to keep updating content to others, or people will forget it like they would. You know what I mean? Like it's difficult to maintain two platforms at once, and I understand that
It's
would
hard
be
enough
like,
trying to be
yeah.
relevant in one way. Yeah, that makes sense. How often do you find people are trying to join your community and use it strictly to capitalize on what you've built?
I on it, most artists they just want someone to talk to. I haven't had a lot of people like that. There may be people coming in that aren't artists that just want to advertise whatever they're advertising. That's fine. They can just go into the advertisement channel, but mostly they don't bother anyone. So it's fine.
That's good that that's not something that you've really had to deal with, because I've seen a lot of it in a bunch of other
Mm.
communities, which just goes back to show Art Cafe, 10 out of 10. Everybody should join
Thank
it.
you.
If you're not a part of it, you should be a part of it because it's amazing, and I can't shout it out enough. It's been one of the best places that I've found on the internet as far as outright positivity goes.
Thank you.
I can't say that enough. I'm getting to say it to the leader right now, so that's why I keep doing
Thank you.
it. I can say it in text all day and night, but I get to tell you with my voice.
Thank you. It does mean a lot.
And your modders too. I mean, Neko is such a wonderful person. That was so great to be able to talk to her to
Yeah.
begin with. You've done an excellent job of choosing the people that you have around and kind of pointing them in the direction that you want them to go.
No, I can't thank them enough. Honestly, they're so dedicated to making sure this place is functioning the right way, and it's really necessary that they are doing their job, and they do a great job at it.
So wonderful. Now we got to figure out some way to get a platform going and have you pushing in that positive direction of that platform. What kind of MySpace esque thing can we have where everyone gets their own individuality and we maintain that positive attitude in the general direction for the artistic
Oh,
community? There's got to be
I
some kind of idea out there. Somebody's going to have it.
yes, there are some platforms that are up and coming. I think ArtRise is one that's coming out soon, or maybe it's in development. I don't know. I'm just excited to see because there are a lot of artists that are feeling it, so there would be a lot of people developing a solution for it. I don't know specifically what would be that solution, but I'm excited to see what people are coming up with.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be a good. I think like in the next 5 to 10 years, things are going to drastically change on the internet, and a lot of the big
Yeah.
names that are there now are going to kind of fall back and be forgotten in some ways.
Mm.
And that'll be wonderful to see because that means we get new places to share
Yeah.
content, new voices to be heard, and new eyes to see it.
Mm.
That's always great. I mean, evolution is fantastic no matter what medium it is.
Hmm?
Where do you want to see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years with what you're doing? Think you want to take
I'm
yourself
sorry.
in
You
the direction? Okay, say again.
sorry you were cutting out. What did you say? Sorry.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years with what you've been building? Do you want to go in the direction of monetizing your artistic talents and sticking with that, or what kind of future do you have laid out?
Um, I'm not looking to work in art. I love doing it, but I'm not particularly interested in putting a monetary I'm not particularly interested in earning a solid income. I'm happy to get people I'm happy to have clients to create what they want me to create, but I'd rather create my own original content. Maybe I could make money off it eventually, but I'm happy just to draw what makes me feel happy. If when people want to pay me to draw something for them, I'm happy to do that too. But it's not something I'll be advertising. Um, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it
um,
seems like you're going less in a direction of capitalism and more to just nurture the community that you have and do what you
yeah.
want to do.
Mhm.
You have
Mhm.
very mom-like instincts. You're not the first person from this server to have it. I'm sensing a theme.
Yeah, there's a lot of mentorship relationships going on in that server because there's so many younger artists. The more experienced artists are happy to offer their skills and help these younger artists grow.
So, on that note, one thing I've really been interested in speaking with artists about is what would you tell an upcoming artist? I'm sure you've said it a bunch of times at this point, but what do you tell upcoming artists who are just starting out? What are your words of wisdom?
Honestly, just have fun with it. Like that's like why would you do it if you're not having fun? You know what I mean? Like the way to improve on art, I think, is just do it. But it's hard to do it when you don't want to. So you, I understand people like want to. I've heard this a lot in your podcast talking about the fundamentals, and I agree the fundamentals are fundamental, but I think they should also step back. Like these people that are studying a lot of art, they should step back and just draw what they want to draw. You know, like it may not be good, but it's, just have fun with it. Like that's the main thing I think. Because when I did a lot of studies when I was starting out, and it helped me grow a lot, but it was exhausting. I stopped drawing after a while as well because I wasn't. I was like, why am I doing this? And then I came back to it and I started drawing things that I wanted to draw, and I was like, this is so much better. Like just a
Definitely
lot of
having
fun.
fun with what you're doing and being
Yeah.
able to pour that passion into it. That seems like a really good piece of advice. I've been trying to avoid it, but in episode 4, I talked with Chase Dunkley about kind of doing his art where he's at. He's a musician, and we talked a little bit about him being in the middle of the country rather than in one of the hot spots for content creation, which would be LA or New York.
Hmm.
Where are the hot spots in Australia? And do you live in that area? And does that affect your drive at all?
I do live in a main city, but I find a lot of Australian artists because of the internet now. They just outsource so they can work in on projects from America quite easily um, through the internet. So it's not really a big issue that I've found. There aren't a lot of studios here in general. There's a few around here, maybe in another state, but most of it's happening in America rather than here. But that's all right because just work through the internet.
Yeah, yeah, but it is nice to be able to represent some place from home.
That's
I think
true. True.
everybody wants to work. I think who is pushing to be a professional with a studio to get on a project and be able to do something big. But if you could do it in your hometown, that's got to feel better
Yeah,
for sure. And
yeah,
it
that's
seems like
true.
the internet, in some ways, kind of takes away the person to person connection.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot easier just to see artists as machines now, just like content creators. And I find that
Yeah, exactly.
transfers, yeah, it transfers a lot to like because you see a lot of things on like Twitter, like animators being overworked or like game developers being overworked to get these projects done a lot faster. But that's not how creation and making things work. You can't rush it.
Especially not good creation.
Yeah,
Something, if it's going to be something that people really remember, it usually takes a little while.
yeah,
And it disappoints me really that creators, artists, and specifically kind of seem to be treated like printers in some ways. I mean,
yeah,
just
for
throw an
sure.
idea and I expect you to print it out. And I see
Yeah.
a lot of that, especially in the promotion that I do. I pay attention to a lot of people's like commissions that they have open, and it usually, I don't know, it kind of disappoints me in a way that you would approach somebody with a creative mind and tell them, I want specifically this, and it has
Mm.
to be this way.
Yeah, I can see where they're coming from because they don't have the tools to create that vision, but an artist isn't necessarily going to be able to recreate their vision exactly, and they have to be able to remember that.
Especially not if they're just open and I mean, you got to do a little bit of research on your own. I
Yeah,
find when I'm doing commissions specifically for myself, I like to look at the person's work and see whether or not I appreciate their work.
yeah, that's very important. You have to really like the artist's work, otherwise you're going to be picking at it and trying to make the artist become something that they're not. You have to look for the right artist rather than just picking an artist that you just find.
And
You
even
know?
if you do like their work, I mean, the kind of the goal of this conversation in the end is to get people to get to know you. I want somebody to be able to come here and look at, oh, Snooze on this episode, and then throughout our conversation, they feel like they have a little bit of an insight on how you think and who you are.
I hope I'm
Because
making a good impression then.
well, that gives you more comfort when you're going to buy something from somebody, I would say.
That's
I mean,
true.
you want to buy something from somebody that you trust, and that's what I'm hoping to create is a little bit of trust between artists
Yeah,
and potential customers.
it's a great idea. I love it. I love your podcast.
Thank
It's
you
so
so
much fun to
much.
listen
I
to.
really appreciate it.
Sorry.
I'm trying. I genuinely am trying, and I'm getting better every day.
It's great. I love it.
Now, we've talked a bit about kind of pushing yourself to feel the expectation of a certain release. Like when you put content out there, you want it to perform a certain way. And I've
Hmm.
noticed that in my own work. And I would say to combat that a little bit, what I've done is I think about it. I mean, I've gained at least one subscriber or one viewer every single day. Every time I put something out, I gain at least one person. And I keep thinking to myself, what if I had 33 people standing behind me right now, waiting for me to have a conversation with somebody?
Yeah,
How
that's true.
crazy would that be?
It is.
I
It is
don't
very
care
wild.
whether or not it ever gets to hundreds of thousands because when I
Mm.
think of 33 people standing there waiting for me to talk, that's
Yeah,
wild.
that's really sweet. That is the main thing I find too. It's having an engaged community. You can have a huge community, but if they're not engaged in your work, then it's doesn't what's it doesn't matter really. Like they're just numbers. If they aren't.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
It doesn't feel, it's back to the internet, kind of taking the person away a little bit. It just doesn't
Mm.
feel like a genuine interaction. It doesn't feel like it matters as much as if it's somebody who really cares.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I've come to a point now. At first, when I started this, a lot of the work that I did was based off of just getting the job done. I didn't do the research in the artists. Like for the
Mm.
current logo, it was just somebody that I found who said that they can do it. And I was like, all right, cool, this is what I want to do, so let's do it.
Hmm.
Now I tend to work with people specifically because I enjoy what they do and I
Yeah.
really want to. So the whole thing's going to get rebranded at some point here because I'm going to
Oh.
pick somebody who really cares about what I'm doing and hopefully they'll
Yeah.
give me something they really care to have done.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good way to
I
go about it.
I really hope that that turns into a positive atmosphere. I'm trying real hard for it to be.
Honestly, it feels like one. Well, I think it's great.
Thank you. And you're the first person to reference a previous podcast like that specifically.
Oh.
That was awesome when you did that. I was trying not to mention it when you said it, but oh my God, that was so cool.
Okay.
The first callback. Thank you.
Yeah, there
Now,
was a lot of sorry, there was a lot of times
no,
when I
you
was listening to the podcast and I'd want to join the conversation. They're really engaging.
so this is something that I haven't talked about on recording, but I'm interested to. We've had conversations, not me and you personally, I mean just in general, I've had conversations with other people about the idea of involving multiple artists for discussion and having me sit back and mediate the conversation and just kind of keep it pushing in a general direction.
Yeah, that'd be
Is that something that
fantastic.
you would be interested in doing?
Yeah, for sure. I love talking with other artists about anything and everything. I just love learning about their takes on what they're creating or what other people are creating. I just love talking with the art community. It's the main reason why I create, so I can engage with others.
That's awesome. What a great drive.
Thank you.
And yeah, absolutely. That's something that I'm really interested in doing. We were even discussing like maybe doing a writer and an artist or a musician and a writer, that
Oh,
kind of
that'd be
thing, and just mixing it up.
yeah. I love music, but I don't know a thing about it. Like I don't
Oh,
know
I
how it's
can play
created. How
music
it
pretty good, but I
oh
can't
really?
write it. I don't get how people
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, I don't me either. Like it's insane. That's just an amazing. I can't remember the word skill.
Honestly,
That,
that's how I feel about every different type of art form. That's why every
yeah.
time I start talking to you guys, I'm like, oh my God, you're so good because it all blows my mind. I can kind of do the things, but I'm not good at anything. I can do a little bit of
Yeah.
everything, but I'm not
Well,
particularly good at anything.
it takes time. Like honestly, you could be great at everything. You just gotta put the work and time, and that's why I was saying it's a lot easier when you're a kid because you're not held back by those
It's
thoughts
true.
like, oh, I'm not great at this. But no kid's great at it. They just keep progressing through. I can give you a link to my old DeviantArt when I was like 9.
No, no.
Yeah, it's not great. It's
Nobody's is. I understand.
okay.
I've just come to the conclusion that this is my art form. This podcast is what's going to be my art form, and I'm going to get very
Honestly,
good at it.
you're already great at it though. I love your conversations. So that's a link to my um.
Every
It was
time something buzzes like that, I'm hearing Gurr in my ear scream, "It's me! I was the turkey all along!" So thank you.
okay.
Oh man, what a terrible ringtone to have during a podcast. What have I done? So I know you're not pushing to, make a living off of it if it requires you to do something that isn't your own way. But how about with the community? What are your future goals with that? Do you have any specific plans on what you want to do with it moving forward?
Honestly, I don't have the resources at all to do this right now, but I would love to create my own physical platform on a website for Art Cafe. Where people can upload, like similar to DeviantArt, but Art Cafe, you know. But I have no idea of anything about web creation or
We
like.
can have a conversation about that, and I genuinely think I might be able to help you
Oh,
facilitate that
really?
idea.
That'd be
Yeah.
fantastic. I have had a previous moderator. Um, he was interested in it as well, but he's had a kid recently and hasn't had time anymore to do it, which is fine. Like, but yeah, I don't know who to reach out for for that.
As far as hosting and all that goes, I mean, you would have to pay for your own domain. But
Yeah.
as far as the hosting goes, we can talk about that and setting up the infrastructure for it. All you would necessarily have to do is pretty it up and do the artistic parts. You would have to create the backgrounds, the layouts, and things
Oh,
like that. I mean, all the tools would be there at your disposal, but
yeah,
you would have to actually do it.
yeah, that's fine.
So
I'm fine with
we'll talk
creation.
about that because it's a little technical outside of
Yeah,
this.
yeah, all good.
So wanting to move it into the direction of a website, are you wanting to do that just to kind of take it to your own platform and move away from Discord? Is there a purpose for that specifically?
I love Discord, but I feel like it won't be able to facilitate a larger community. There's 1,000 people now, and it does feel cramped as it is. So I don't know. I maybe some better um some better categorization skills on Discord on tools. Sorry, would be a great step. But right now, Discord doesn't have that, so it's hard for me to really expand Art Cafe.
Okay. And yeah, it is. I mean, if you have specific bots and people go looking for it, it's easier to get in. But if you get lost in the mix of everybody else, then I don't know. Discord's wonderful in its way, but the joining of servers is kind of a little off, and it takes a long time to find a good community. I mean, yours is one
Yeah.
of the last ones I joined, honestly, but it's the
Mhm.
best one by far. And I
Thank
could
you.
have skipped all the other ones and not been a part of any of that mess at all, but I had to
mm.
get there to get where I am. So
Yeah.
it's a little disappointing, but it is what it is, and Discord's
Mm.
still an amazing utility. So what is it you want to do to improve that on your own website? What kind of process do you think you could involve that would make it a little bit easier?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it too much. I just thought it'd be nice to, because right now I like how it works. I like this forum kind of system where people post their art into these categories, and I guess that would just be a lot more easier to monitor on like a website kind of infrastructure. You know what I mean? Like rather than all these different channels, because we'd have a lot of channels, and it can be hard to navigate. I just think
So you'd
navigation
like
would
to
improve.
just make it an actual forum instead of a forum-like channel setup?
Yeah, just just have the more control over how it's set up. Because right now, Discord's it's got a lot of great customization, but it is still limiting.
Yeah, we can definitely have a conversation about this. Yeah, I think I can help you achieve that.
Thank you.
And I'm not saying that to push myself. I'm saying like genuinely, I think I can help you with that.
It'd be great. Thank you.
Now, where do you find these people? Like, how do you get a hold of people that you can trust to moderate a community like that? Because it is a lot of responsibility. Do you
It
pick specifically from friend groups, or do you allow people to kind of introduce themselves and give people a chance?
Yeah, I let honestly anyone apply it because I feel like I have such a great community. I just talk to them while they're here on Art Cafe, and then maybe like every 3 months I'll upload a moderation application. People can apply for that, and I'll use the little application that they give me, and I'll go back and past experiences that I've had with this person because it's such a I'm very one on one with these kind of people. I can just tell like who I would want on my team.
Okay, so you really do give your chance of self to, or you give yourself a chance to get to know them a bit,
Yeah,
because that's a lot of control to give to somebody. I mean, 1,000 community members, and you give them the right to be able to ban and delete and moderate, do their
it is.
job. That can go to people's heads. So that's
It
good that you
can.
kind of get a chance to get in there and understand them a little bit before you unleash that.
Yeah, everyone's been pretty good. Like they listen to what I say. They all have really mature discussions before banning someone. They talk in the mod chat. Is this the right decision? And then they follow the correct steps. Yeah.
Now, because other people might be going through it who could potentially listen to this, I do hope to have like a good group of the communities partaking in in the podcast. Have you had any specific cases of that going wrong, without mentioning names, of course, because that would be rude?
Hmm. Not specific people. I think it's just misunderstandings people have with because we do get a lot of rude people, and I can understand that can become really heated. Um, and then maybe that person will be blocked because of or banned from the server because of disagreement between moderators, and that can seem like a bit of a power play. But usually it's because the person's just not very nice anyway.
Well, good for you that you haven't had to deal with any serious
Yeah.
issues.
No.
At 1,000 members, that's almost
Yeah.
unbelievable. Well done.
It's a bit of a yeah. It works fine. I mean, everyone they leave, they come, they do their thing, then they leave, they get kicked. It works fine.
Now, I know your community is extremely positive, so I feel like you would have a good insight to this. How do you deal with negativity, especially on social media platforms away from your own community? Because I would imagine that in some ways that's a bit of a safe space, not to make fun of it, because,
No, no, yeah.
safe space is a stupid meaning
No,
nowadays.
it is a very safe space. I want it to be a safe space for artists. But I personally I haven't really experienced much negativity with my art. I've always had a very positive outlook at
You're
it. The
killing me
main
here. Are
no
you unnatural? What?
no
Are you made of happiness? What is this?
I I don't know. I just haven't had um anything really. I can't think of anything honestly. I've had a great time up with my art.
So either it hasn't happened or you just outright blocked it. And that, in its way, is a good way to handle it. So bravo to you.
Thank you.
Well played. No, that's really good though, because I do hear a lot. I see a lot of people just dragging artists, especially up and comers. We talked about this in the first episode with Lincoln, about how people will say unnecessarily mean things,
No,
and
yeah.
just destroy somebody's confidence, and that's such a disgusting thing to do.
It's definitely a huge thing right now, like cringe culture, but this cringe culture they talk about are just these young children just putting their work out there that young children would create because they're young, and then they slap them on like these cringe compilations, and it's so disgusting because they're just kids, like they're just man, it makes me so angry seeing stuff like that. And that's why I hope no one would ever treat the young artists in Art Cafe like that. Make me so furious. I would kick them immediately. Like it's not
One
right.
way
It's
ticket to Boots.
yeah, get the damn boot. Like it's not okay.
There it is. Okay. Now, man, I just can't tell you how much I'm in awe of everything that you're doing.
Oh, thank
Especially,
you.
it doesn't even seem like a surface level thing. Having talked about it a good bit, it seems like this is something that you're very deeply passionate about, and
Oh, I am.
I
Yes,
appreciate that so much in
I made
anybody.
one like a prototype of Art Cafe. Oh, sorry, wait, I didn't hear what you said.
No, you go ahead. Continue.
Oh,
Let's hear about
oh,
this.
sorry. Oh yeah, I made a prototype of Art Cafe where I pick a handful of artists that I talk like those mutuals with on social media, and it worked great. Like that's when I thought this could be like a bigger thing. Like I just wanted a place to talk with some of my art friends, but then after spending some time on this prototype, I was like, so many people could benefit from having a platform where they can have this discussion with artists more freely because social media doesn't promote any kind of discussion. Like Twitter has like a character limit that's only so small. You can't really discuss with artists there. And then was it Instagram? It's more visuals. Well, that platform Tumblr, like Tumblr's blocking half their content anyway. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
Tumblr's dead. They messed up.
yeah,
What a mistake.
yeah,
But yeah, no, you definitely have facilitated that for a lot of people, and it's so nice. I know somebody's going to be like, all right, get on with it. But man,
mm,
it you don't often get to speak to somebody who has the drive and the dedication to put that many people together and maintain such a positive atmosphere. If, like I said, for the 33 people, the same thing applies for the 1,000. That might not be, 100,000, a million, whatever a lot of people are striving for, but a
mm,
1,000 people to get together and still maintain a just absolute positivity, a nurturing for the creativity of the people who are younger and up and coming and starting out. It's so impressive, and I wish more people would do that. And I hope that this conversation helps somebody get the drive to do that, because it doesn't need to just be your place that does it. It
yeah,
it can be, there should be a million of these. There should be,
definitely. Like,
everybody should have an art cafe that they can go to no matter what it is they're into creating.
yeah, for sure, I agree. Um, I just want more positivity in the world in general. Like, it can be such a sad place, but like, if people just come together and in a positive way, it can just change everything about a community. Like, I don't know. That's just me. That's what I think.
Well, I think at this point, I mean, we've been going for a good minute. I have one more big topic that I want to talk about, and then I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, and that is collaboration. Um, with your community being what it is, I'm sure you get a lot of people trying to talk to you and wanting to work with you, like I did, for example. Is that something that you find bothers you at all? Just like a mass influx of people wanting your attention?
Not at all. No. I sorry. Yeah, I don't mind people wanting to talk to me or needing information from me. I don't mind that at all. I don't know if I heard that whole thing. I think you may have cut out, so I'm not sure if I'm responding to this correctly. Sorry.
No, you've got it so far. I mean, all the major points are hit. Well, all right then. I mean, I can't believe that you would have yourself open like that with 1,000 people, and I hope most of them listen to this and probably gonna want to talk to you now. I think you might have just made a terrible mistake. You probably should have just been like, no, just
No,
stop.
anyone can honestly, anyone can be. I don't mind. Maybe, maybe that's a
It's too
mistake,
late. You
but I don't
can't
mind.
take it back. Well, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to speak with you. As I tell everybody, it really means a lot that you would do that, especially in the building stages of this. I hope that it takes off, and I love and appreciate that you see what I'm trying to do here. So
No
thank you very
problem.
much.
I hope it
Um,
grows a lot. It's growing really fast as it
I
is.
really do too. God, it would be so nice if it did. But, we'll see what happens. It's all just a big project. And on that note, I hope you have a wonderful the rest of your day. And I think I'm going to go ahead
Thank
and get ready
you.
for bed myself.
Okay. Sorry for keeping you up.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's been a blast.
Thank you.